Hey, what's up? It's Comic95 the Savior, and for this video I want to talk about having pride, so specifically talking about online dating. Now, I know that online dating definitely has a bad name for itself for several different reasons, and let's just be real. Guys, men make online dating awful. I would argue that a lot of, if not most women, use online dating for the sole purpose in finding someone to date long-term, preferably seriously, that will lead to, marriage. But unfortunately, most guys, of course, are on these apps because they are cheaters. They just want to have quick, fun, easy sex. They'll lie, say whatever it takes to get that from you. And just to experiment. Maybe they might have a fetish they don't feel comfortable with sharing with their wife or with their girlfriend. Or maybe their wife or girlfriend is against, experimenting that. And of course, people, like I said, just like to cheat. They want to go out and do their thing. Maybe they've never been with a black girl. Maybe they want to experience sex with a tall girl, petite girl, whatever the case may be. So this is not to say that girls don't, abuse these apps too. Of course, I'm aware that people use these apps to make money. There's escorts, etc. I'm not getting into that. This isn't meant to be, back and forth, war type thing. But my point is, I think we can all honestly agree that this is one area where I feel men have more control than women. They can choose the direction that the relationship goes in the app, and as a woman, you kind of either have to choose to follow along or let go of the guy, and it can feel like finding a needle in a haystack. I totally understand, but this isn't so much to talk about the cons, but I want to play devil's advocate and be real with you. I'm aware that there are problems that exist with online dating. I know that it's also difficult as a woman to put yourself out there. Maybe you feel shy, ashamed, and embarrassed. Maybe you don't look that well, that good, and you're afraid of being judged and people talking about you or not finding matches, etc. And I will be honest with you, yeah, all of those things are true. But the reality is there's definitely someone for everyone. And when I say someone, I don't mean you have to get lucky and you'll find just this one person, but you will find thousands of people that are potential matches for you. And I don't mean like match as in you both like each other, but match as in you're like, oh my god, I'm head over heels for this guy, or vice versa for this girl, if you're a guy, or whatever the case might be. And I feel like people never talk about that side of things. I commonly see people have this idea, especially women, where they have too much pride to meet someone online, so they avoid doing it. And their reason being is they want to meet someone naturally, the traditional way. And all I think to myself is it the 1940s, 50s, or whatever? And I find it really odd because a lot of the people that seem to be so for doing it the traditional way, they also are feminists, etc. So it's like, I don't understand this. It's like, if you want to meet someone that, I know it has nothing to do with each other, but I just find it to be ironic. So off of that, I pissed off enough of you. Let me get to my point. I feel like women, you waste so much of your time. You waste so much of your life trying to make other people happy, to have this image of, oh, I met someone naturally, or, oh, I didn't meet, my boyfriend on Tinder, or whatever the case might be. And I feel like it's so stupid. Because while I know some smart ass is going to be like, oh, well, everyone doesn't want to get married, everyone doesn't want to have kids. That's cool. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the majority of women that do want both of these things. And I feel like it's a really big mistake. I'm not encouraging women to go sleep around and obviously have babies or have sex with people that they don't truly love or see themselves making a future with. But I feel like so many of you miss out on the opportunity to meet good people, to even date in general, to get dating experience, to have fun, to enjoy yourself, because you're so busy, so caught up, and so wrapped up with the idea of, meeting this guy the traditional way. Your standards are so high and so stupid, to be honest, that you end up getting older, and before you know it, now having children is difficult. Now finding a single guy that's not married, that's not divorced, that doesn't have kids, doesn't have baggage, is nearly impossible. Can you do it? Yes. But why do you want to limit your options by saying, I'm not going to use any of the most popular dating methods because I'm old-fashioned? Why? Don't get me wrong, I think anyone that's ever tried to use online dating has definitely gone through that phase where you're like, oh my god, I'm done with online dating. All of these guys are bad. It's all just short-term relationships. They're just using me for sex. Nobody's, matching with me, whatever the case might be. I think we've all experienced that at some point. And to be honest, I feel like that's the moment where you should really continue and push yourself to keep doing so. I almost feel like that's like Satan or someone like trying to talk you out of it. So don't get me wrong, I'm not telling you to make yourself uncomfortable, throw yourself out there, do whatever you feel most comfortable with, but do keep in mind that you also have to take some responsibility for yourself. I think a lot of people are so fixated on praying for, Mr. Right, Mr. Perfect, but they're asking God for this good guy, asking God for someone, to marry, etc. But they do nothing on their own to get themselves a guy, so to speak. So I'm not saying make a twerking video or something, but I mean, you don't do anything. You want to just sit there and you expect Prince Charming to just randomly come and find you. And while of course that is wonderful, it's great, I've definitely met guys this way. It doesn't work for everyone, and you can possibly meet better guys by, again, putting yourself in situations where you have more opportunities to meet people by, of course, downloading dating apps, signing up for, social networks, etc., and being open to talking to and meeting new people. The other reality is, too, what is the likelihood of the one that's for you crossing your paths by, natural, normal, everyday means? Of course it can happen, but to be honest, we have so many more options than our parents had, than our grandparents had, because we have social media, because we have the internet. Like, think about it. The reason why we all, I hate to make this video aged, so to speak, considering the coronavirus is going on right now, but think about how much crazier life would be right now if we did not have the internet. Like, imagine during the initial lockdown, I know some people are still quarantining and staying inside, but imagine if we didn't have social media. All you had was TV. There was no Google, no internet, no whatever, no smartphones. We would be dying, mentally, going, really stir crazy. We feel stir crazy from being inside now. But imagine not having any of, the fun, entertaining things that we like to do. Imagine if this virus happened back in the 70s or 80s. I don't think we would be able to I don't even know. I can't imagine it myself personally. But anyway, back then, there were more limitations. If you lost contact with someone, it was virtually impossible to get back in contact with them unless you got lucky and found someone that still had contact with them, or were able to get an investigator that can hunt this person down. And even investigators, there were more limited resources back then because, once again, no internet. And so I feel not to make you guys think too much, but think about it. Maybe your parents or your grandparents might have married or dated someone different if they had the option to use these apps, if they had other opportunities, other means, other ways of meeting people besides just randomly meeting a guy at the grocery store, or randomly, going out with that guy from, junior high school that had a crush on you. So this isn't to knock people that do that. That's great. That's phenomenal. I envy you. Of course, I would love to have known my boyfriend at a much younger age when I was a kid and have grown up with him. But the reality is that is not something that's going to happen to and or for everyone. And even if you do meet someone that you do like, think about it. Especially when you're young, you have so many more options of people that you can choose to date. So why not take advantage of that? Why not try to meet other people? Why not see who else is out there? Why settle with the 5 boys that are inside of, your physics class or whatever the case might be? There's so much more that you can be doing with yourself. And I really hate that the same people that complain about, oh, I can't find a guy, I can't get a boyfriend, no one likes me, the same people that mope around about this, they put in no effort themselves, both physically and, again, physically going out there dating and physically as an appearance wise. They do nothing. And so, of course, you can get lucky. You can find a guy when you're looking your absolute worst and without, downloading apps and without going places to meet guys. But why lessen your chances by doing nothing to help yourself meet someone? I'm sorry to break it to you ladies, but there's no prize for saying that you met your guy at the grocery store or that you met him at your job. It's a cute little story that nobody cares about. So I really don't understand why people are so fixated, so embarrassed about saying that they met their boyfriend online, etc. And another dumb thing too that I see people commonly do, people will bash dating apps and say, oh my god, like, I'm glad that I took a break, I stopped using dating apps, etc. And then you find out that they met their boyfriend on Facebook or Instagram. And I'm like, that's also a social app. Although it's not specifically made for dating, lots of users use these apps more. I would say there's more users on both of those apps alone and definitely together than any, dating app or all of them combined. But with that said, it's like you still met your boyfriend online. It's the same aspect. So, or husband. And again, this isn't to bash people for using one app over the other, but they're all really the same. So again, obviously, you're more likely to meet someone that's serious about you through using an app that is specifically for dating. Let's be real, most people that are going to slide in your DMs for things like Instagram, Facebook, they're just trying to have sex. They liked your pictures, whatever the case might be. They think you look good. They're imagining doing other things with you. So the same thing can be said about, dating apps. And for that reason, it's like, why are you making one out to be better than the other? And so just like how there's always bad people on every app, I think it's horrible to give something a bad name as a whole because you've chosen to meet these bad people. I feel like a lot of women ignore red flags, have standards that are too high, and put in too little effort. And this isn't to give guys, cut them slack too, because I can get on you guys too, but this video is about girls specifically, about women dating. But I feel like a lot of women have high expectations for men, but they don't think about what a man wants in a woman. So I've set myself what my expectations were for, my husband. I like a lot of different things, and I have no shame in that. And I know that guys who can't afford to give me that lifestyle, guys that don't have that lifestyle, for them it's like, oh, you're a gold digger, you're whatever. And it's like, no, you don't meet my criteria. I have my own. I have my own job. I work for myself. I'm in my own place right now. I got myself to Japan. But at the same time, I am not someone that's okay with struggle love. I watched my parents' relationship. I have heard all of the stories of my mom's first marriage and what she went through. I see my friends, I see my cousins, I see random people on Instagram and Twitter. Why do you want to put yourself in a situation where you're going to be in poverty and struggling? Who wants to live paycheck to paycheck? I'm sorry, but there's a limitation to love, especially when it comes to someone that you don't already know. Of course, money can run out, you can lose your job, etc. But that's fine. I'm not going to knowingly go into a relationship with a guy that has financial problems, just like I will not knowingly go into a relationship with a man who I know has a history of being abusive or a sexual predator. Just being real. So I feel like those two things go hand in hand. You know what you want, go for it. Guys are okay with saying, I want a girl that's short, I want a girl that's curvy, I want a girl that's whatever, I want a girl that has this, that, and the other. But the moment that you say, okay, I like tall guys, or I like, men that are educated, guys get really defensive on that. So this video isn't about my own personal preferences, but I'm just throwing that out there that I have my own things that I looked for in a man. I wanted him to be financially stable. I wanted him to be college educated. And I wanted him to be romantic. And I got all of that, I feel. So, and this isn't just like, oh, I got lucky, I found this one guy. No. Honestly, I found it difficult to even decide who I wanted to settle on relationship-wise because I am aware that I had other options out there, and the reason why I did was because I used social apps. I personally took my own advice. I've hung out at places just with the expectation of meeting guys. I've gone on dates with total strangers on a whim, on the spot. I've done it all. And because of that, it helped me to realize that I have more worth than I thought I did. I am someone that was always very shy and reserved, and while of course I had things that I liked and or that I wanted in a partner, I was never like, I'm old-fashioned in that sense. I don't like being the one to make the first move. And even on like dating apps, I will like someone, but I don't bother like to send first messages. I don't. So that's personal preference. I'm not telling you that you can't do that, but I'm trying to be honest with you, being transparent, telling you what I personally do. Yeah, I feel like by going out and seeing the people that do like you, seeing the potential that you have when you do dress nicely, when you do take care of yourself, when you do style your hair, when you do wear makeup, when you do educate yourself, when you do get yourself a better job, get yourself together, and basically make yourself wife material, mom material, etc. Someone that a man pictures himself being with long term. Your options will increase dating wise. Sure, you can sit and be lazy and do nothing and find a man that's going to completely take care of you despite you having nothing to bring to the table. And to be totally honest, really in all of my relationships, including my current one, my man does not expect me to work. He doesn't expect me to do these things. But I do, and I do it because I want to, not because my man expects me to do these things. And again, like, it's personal preference. People have different opinions on things like gender roles. I personally like cooking and cleaning, and I enjoy taking care of my man at home in that aspect. We both work. It's personal preference. I don't have to. We both have our own separate places for the time being. That will change soon. But you get my point. My thing is, you can meet someone that meets whatever the criteria that you have is. If you're someone that likes going 50-50, you like doing things half and half, fine, by all means, do it. If you want to be a housewife, do it. If you don't mind working and also taking on, womanly roles, whatever you want to call it, go ahead. Don't let anyone talk you out of it. It's your own personal preference. You do what you want, whatever works best for your relationship. But aside from that, I'm getting sidetracked. My point is, anything that you're looking for, you can find. Your standards aren't necessarily too high per se. But if you're going to have high standards, I feel like you should be fair. You should give them a reason to also want you. For example, I feel disgusted when some broke, ugly, short, fat, balding guy that's 30 years older than me, my dad's age, tries to hit on me. And to me, it's like, what do you bring on the table for me? You think I'm gonna have sex with you and for free? That's how I feel. Well, imagine how a guy feels from his perspective. You don't take care of yourself, you don't take care of your skin, you don't take care of your weight, you don't have an education, you just want to find someone to leech and mooch off of. Well, from a smart man's perspective, you have nothing to offer other than ass, if even that. So it's like, you should think about things from a man's perspective too when dating. But at the same time, I'm not trying to really talk so much about men. I'm just telling you how to improve your chances of dating and of finding someone. I could say for myself, I feel like after I turned 20, I really transitioned the way that I took care of myself. After I moved to Japan, I completely changed everything about myself. Part of it was, to be honest, because of social and cultural pressure. And the other part of it was because I knew that I wanted to get married. I knew that I wanted to increase my chances of being able to date. So for me, that was simply changing the way I took care of myself. I spent years not wearing makeup. I spent years not really doing anything with my hair. And again, I'm still not perfect in those fields. I need help with both. But you get my point. I started taking better care of myself. I lost a lot of weight. I did things to better myself. And once I did that, I had more options for dating. And so we can all go through the, oh, he should love me for me type thing. But again, let's be real. We all have our own dating preferences. And even for myself, I will also say that I personally probably would not be okay with dating somebody initially if they were obese. My boyfriend and myself were not obese. But you get my point. I can totally understand why someone would say, or not even say, but not be interested in dating me, because at one point I was 200 and almost 40 pounds. I think I was 238 pounds, which is ridiculous, or 239. It's crazy. I felt ugly, I felt disgusting. And honestly, I feel like after I started taking better care of myself, after I improved my appearance, and I made more of an effort to actually meet guys, I downloaded apps again, I started going to parties, etc., I quickly began to meet more men. And was everyone perfect? Was everyone a good guy? No. But that's the point. You can't have a bad dating experience, or 2 or 3 or 5 or 10, and say, oh my god, I'm done, I can't meet any guys, I'm back to the traditional way, or oh my god, dating isn't for me, I'm just going to be single forever. If you're not going to try, sure, some girls will get lucky and you'll meet someone anyway, but the reality is most of you will be single, and you will be bitter, and you will be jealous-hearted when you see all of your friends getting married, and here you are on your 39th birthday crying because you're about to be 40 tomorrow. I'm not 40 tomorrow, 40 next year. So again, this isn't to say all women have to get married, all women have to have kids. I'm speaking for those that want these things and feel like they're not getting what they want in life. And I feel like it all really starts with you. Don't let other girls bash you because of your relationship choices. Don't let other girls bash you because of where you chose to meet your boyfriend, where you met your husband, where you choose to date, who you choose to date, what they look like. And more importantly, going back to the title of this, using social apps once again. I think that's the biggest thing. A lot of girls feel like it's almost like a pride like thing. Guys are this way too, but it's videos for women. And I think it's so stupid because it's like, who cares? Who's going to care? Are you going to care when you're 50 years old, you're lonely and single, you don't have a husband, or maybe you do have a husband that has baggage, a history, divorce, kids, etc., but now you have none biologically of your own? Are you going to be okay when you're spending $30,000, $60,000 a year on fertility treatments that aren't even working for you? When everyone's asking, when are you going to have a baby? And none of these things are appropriate. I'm not taking away accountability from them, but I'm saying for you to think for yourself. Think now. Stop worrying about what society says about online dating. Stop worrying about what your family says, what your friends say, etc. Worry about you, because at the end of the day, you're the one that's going to be taking care of your kids. You're the one that's going to be with your husband, not them. Nobody cares about where you met these people at. In my opinion, the more miserable you ultimately are or end up being. So again, a relationship is a very private and personal thing, and especially a marriage. So keep your, biological, whatever you want to call it, your clock, your fertility clock, your time frame, whatever that you have in mind. But also at the same time, think about what you really want. Don't just settle with someone because you want to have children. Don't just settle with someone because you want to get married. But at the same time, don't listen to people that give you bad advice, that tell you, oh, don't use social apps, meet them, the natural way, be traditional. Don't listen to people that do nothing and expect everything. They don't want to put in any work, no effort, not only on themselves physically, but they don't want to physically put themselves out there. I literally have people that I'm friends with right now that spend all of their time complaining and crying about how they can't meet a guy and being bitter towards other people, including myself, for being in a relationship. And so I feel like, I wasn't lucky. I didn't get lucky. I worked for it. I went out of my way to try to meet people. I didn't sit on my ass at home in my apartment, avoid going out with anybody but other, female, girls, and in this case, other female black girls, and then cry, oh my God, nobody likes me, I can't get a boyfriend, I can't get married, I just turned 35, etc. And it's like, so you want to have children, you want to have a husband, you refuse to go anywhere with anybody that's not like you. You refuse to go and, download these social apps. You refuse to go to any type of party, etc. You don't do anything but work. And again, if you don't want to get married, that's fine. But it's like, you can't do nothing and expect all of these things to happen for you. So of course, even when I talk about things with myself, I don't even feel comfortable talking to some of my friends because to them it comes off as bragging. And instead of them being happy for you, which is why they're not really my friends, they're associates, they aren't. They're a little bit jealous. Oh, I'm happy for you. But you can feel they're really jealous. They're wishing, oh, I wish that was me. Why does she get a boyfriend? Why does she have this? Why does she have a fiance? Why does she have a husband? Whatever. You have to work for yours. Just like I did. You can get lucky and be that person that does nothing, and the delivery guy ends up becoming your husband. But that's not going to happen for most of us. You get what you give. If you're always at home, always hanging out with other girls, you're not going to meet a guy here. It's going to be very difficult. And unless you're someone that's so desperate you'll just throw yourself at the first guy that hits on you, which if that's what you want to do, go ahead, girl. But unless you're that person, you're probably not going to find what you're looking for. And once again, you can meet people in real life in public, But you have to ask yourself, are these guys what you want in a boyfriend? Sometimes they can be, but a lot of the time they aren't. Whether they're not physically attractive to you, whether they're not stable enough to get married and or to have children for you, whatever the case might be. Honestly, I feel like online dating solves all of these problems because you can weed through guys. You can ask them questions, you can see their pictures before you waste your time or money meeting them. Sure, people can lie to you, but you'll get a pretty good understanding to tell when someone's lying or not. So, do what you want to do. I can't control you. If you choose not to use online dating, fine, by all means. But don't bash other people that do. And don't feel like you're better than someone because you met someone in person, you married this person, whatever. And also, girls, please stop making a competition between apps. Meeting your boyfriend on Tinder or meeting them on Instagram is the same fucking thing. Especially since they're both connected to each other. You can connect your Instagram to your Tinder account. I don't understand why people feel like if they meet their boyfriend or their fiance or their husband a certain way, that this makes their situation better or it wasn't a dating app. It kind of still is. It's a social app. All dating apps just about have a feature that's just for friends. So that's that. Everything's not about sex. Everything's not about hooking up on dating apps. You can choose who you go after. Sure, there's a lot of guys that just want these things, but you can choose to sleep with them. You can choose to reply to their messages. You don't have to. You also can choose how you put yourself out there. In the words of Dave Chappelle, I'm not saying it's right, but it's real. If you look like a whore, you dress like a whore, you act like a whore. Unfortunately, it's not fair. I want it to change, but that's how you will be treated. If that's how you want to post on your Instagram, like I do, it's fine. But I wouldn't suggest it for online dating though, because again, this is for a different purpose. You will both be attracting guys that you don't want and turning away a lot of guys that would potentially date you seriously because they don't want a girl that acts or dresses like that. Don't listen to people that tell you, oh, you're too young, because I feel like being too young is a bigger lie that's commonly told than people being too old. And that really irritates me so much. It's so stigmatized and so frowned down upon or looked down upon, whatever, for women to get married when they're young or have children when they're young. But it's like women don't have a ridiculous time frame in which they can safely have children. Let's be real. Especially once you get to be over 35. And honestly, I feel like as a mother, in my personal opinion, it's going to rub people the wrong way, but I see it as being selfish if you choose to have kids after a certain age. I feel like you should consider what age they will be when they become adults. You should want to be there for your children, at least throughout, their years of being a young adult. At least consider how old they will be when they become, how old you will be when they become an adult, or a young adult, and an adult just in general, like in their 30s. You should want to be there to see your grandkids and to support your children. And I personally know that's something that was very important for me. And I'll even say right now, I'm honestly older than I expected to be when I have my first child, but that's okay. I feel like people need to understand that by listening to people that tell you, oh, you're too young, you're too young, you're too young, these are the same people that will be saying you're too old, you're too old, you're too old. And they're not going to be paying your fertility treatment bills. So just being real with you. And I feel like fertility issues put a lot of strain on a marriage and on a relationship. So I feel like it's something that's super important that needs to be talked about and needs to be thought of early on in a relationship. A lot of people are too concerned, too focused on trying to have everything together before they get married. And I'll make that another video talking about that. But again, don't be afraid to use social apps. Think to yourself, do you want to be 35 plus and single and looking for Mr. Right when Mr. Right now has, you have to accept a guy that has kids, doesn't have money, living with mom, divorced, cheating on his wife, or technically cheating on his wife because they're separated and going through a divorce. There's all type of messy situations that you put yourself in the older you get. Can you be that exception to the rule that finds a good guy? Yes. But let's be real. The older you are as a woman, the more difficult it becomes to meet a good man that doesn't come with this extreme history. So while you're busy, working on yourself, that's nice, trying to meet a guy the traditional way. I'm not telling you to not do it, but do both. Do both. Don't limit yourself. It's okay to meet a guy out in public the traditional way, but don't think you can only do one or the other. Using social apps doesn't mean you cannot date in person. You can't meet a guy, at the grocery store, at the library, whatever. It doesn't mean that. And now with the coronavirus, for all of you that want to meet Mr. Right in person, you should definitely realize it's a lot more challenging with the mask on. So, I'm not trying to date this video. I've already done that. But just being real. So, again, think for yourself. Don't let other people's opinions, other people's thoughts, other people's wants push you into a corner or put you in a bad situation where you're now 30, you're, biting your nails, you're crying, and you're like, oh my God, I'll be 40 in 10 years. Or you're 35, and you're like, oh my God, like, I'm going to be on bed rest or whatever, or I'm risking my child having, all of these different special needs type problems. So again, date and live your life for yourself, not for other people. Do what you want. Give yourself the best chance to meet other people. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're in need of fertility treatment that's not working and spending all of this money just in the hopes of having one child when you wanted to have 6. Think about your future. Don't give up on your wants because your broke guy friends or some angry broke guy that messaged you said, oh, well, that's old fashioned, you're not going to find this, you're not going to get whatever. If he can't afford you, that's cute. Just say that you can't date me. Don't lower your standards and accept anybody because you think you can't get what you want. But also be willing to work on and improve yourself so that the person that you're dating also feels like they got what they want. Nobody wants a leech. Nobody wants a bum. You can't be like some of my associates who sit on their butt all day, do nothing, stay inside, order, McDonald's for every meal. But then they want a man that makes 6 figures and is going to love them the way that they are, despite the fact they put in no effort on their physical appearance, no effort with anything in their life. You can find it, sure, it's possible. Unlikely, but it's possible. It has to be give and take. You want this in a guy? Give him what he wants in a woman too. Should you change yourself for a man? No. But you should do it for yourself. I didn't start wearing makeup. I didn't start doing any of this stuff or changing the way that I dress for a man. I did it for me. I wanted to look better. But in turn, I also realized that by doing this, I would increase my chances of meeting nicer guys, of meeting men that were interested in dating me. Most men like girls that look feminine. If you don't, sure, you can find a guy that's okay with you with a harder look, a girl that doesn't wear makeup, doesn't wear dresses. Maybe a little more difficult though. So that's that. I hope I didn't offend you too much. I'm just having a real talk with you. Doesn't matter where you meet your partner as long as you meet them, as long as they love you and you love them and you're happy together. Don't make a big deal about where you met someone or bash people or encourage them to not use something because it didn't work for you when it comes to dating. You only have one life. You can't go back in time. Once your 20s are gone, they're gone. Once your early 30s are gone, they're gone. So again, the same people telling you you're too young, oh, you have time, he'll find you. They're not going to be there when you're 35 and sobbing because you don't have a husband. They're not going to be there when you're 30 and find out you have fertility problems. So think and do things for yourself. Try whatever you want to. Take chances and understand that you will meet some bad people. It's life. It's going to happen. Most people don't marry the first person that they meet, even when they meet someone in person. And let's be real. The same douchebags that you can meet in real life, they're the same people that are also online. So people always try to act like, online dating is like a whole nother world of people. It's the same people that you would meet in person. The only difference is everyone is there at once. You have the option and opportunity to meet people you'd have otherwise never crossed paths with. It's a win-win situation. and most of them are entirely free, especially if you're a girl. And honestly, as a girl, the cards are in your favor. It's easier to match with guys, it's easier to get messages and replies, etc. So that's that. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any comments, please leave them down below. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I also have an Instagram, a Facebook, a Twitter, and a Snapchat, did I say? So yes, please follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and I appreciate if you would add me on Snapchat as well, and like my Facebook page. And again, don't forget to subscribe. If you have anything you would like to add to this, any personal experience with dating online here in Japan that you would like to add to this in the comments, please leave them down below as well. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.